Good afternoon. This is Laura Belanger from the National Weather Service Peachtree City office with your weekly weather briefing for the week starting Thursday, July 27th, 2023. So for the highlights this week, in the week ahead, we're looking for above normal temperatures to really continue across the area. We're already seeing drought indicators starting to show dry conditions across portions of the state. While I know some of you have been incredibly wet, particularly late last week, we are again seeing those conditions starting to dry. Now this weekend we could be near heat advisory criteria Saturday and Sunday, something we'll continue to monitor. And it's possible we could be near the highest low temperature records by early next week. It looks like maybe Monday or Tuesday morning. Now we are also calling for below normal rainfall during this time frame. The possibility of any kind of strong or severe storm is low through the weekend. Some areas of the state will see increasing rain chances as we get into Saturday, but that's mostly going to be over south and central Georgia. Just a quick little recap from our severe weather last week. We really appreciate all the reports that have already been submitted into our office. In total, for the July 20th and 21st period, we had 36 warnings. We've already logged in 190 reports. Now you'll see some of these red boxes on the county map there. With the counties there listed, and these are still locations that we would love to have additional reports come in. So if you are still holding on to reports you haven't quite passed along yet, we would love for you to do so. You can email them to us directly or find a way to submit them online either through social media or on our webpage. Now, these are the current conditions across our area this afternoon. So this is just a static image of our GOES satellite. So you can see there's some high clouds across the area, some Q that have developed this afternoon with some heating of the day. And in general, we're expecting the high pressure to really dominate the region through the weekend, and a return of moisture, particularly over the southern portion of the state, again, is going to fuel those isolated to scattered storms each day through the weekend, but not much of a organized storm threat. And so really it should be really confined to that region of the state. And so our probability of any severe weather is really low. This is, for example, is the severe weather outlook from SPC for this afternoon. And it looks pretty similar to this as we get into Friday, Saturday, and then as far as early next week, late weekend, it's still looking more of the same. So right now we're looking for isolated showers, maybe some weak thunderstorms possible for this afternoon. And again, no major weather hazards are expected. There is an air quality alert that is out for today. And so be mindful of being outside in the hot conditions, especially with the air quality. But as far as any kind of hazardous severe weather is concerned, we're not really expecting that. Now, as we've mentioned a few times, the max temperatures that we're seeing over the last few days and what we're expecting here over the next few days, at least, are above normal temperatures. And these are running about 8 to 10 degrees above normal in some locations. It's not too unusual for us to see 90 degrees in Atlanta, but we are already seeing forecasts to stay in the mid to upper 90s, some locations possibly reaching the triple digits as we get into late weekend. Across the area at the moment, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're already in the mid 90s. You could see another degree or two go up from here. And then Friday's forecast being slightly different, maybe by a degree or two, but roughly the same as what we're seeing today. And that trend is going to continue. And that's really resulting from high pressure that's staying dominant over the region. It's going to be the main feature as we get through the weekend and into early next week. And with that additional moisture coming back into the state to the south, that's what's going to be fueling our precipitation chances, especially as we get into Saturday over the south and central portions of the state. And so as we step now into tomorrow, again, that blue high pressure there over Tennessee, you can see that is still controlling the region. And more of the same as we get into Saturday. Some small adjustments in kind of the overall big weather picture, but on the whole, we're looking at this high pressure to really be the dominant feature. Now, as I mentioned, this forecast is expected to kind of continue into August, really. And so as we get into next Tuesday, August 1st, you can see those temperatures still stay fairly warm. The table here is showing our climate sites with Atlanta there on that second row. And you can see that the maximum temperature over that kind of 5.5 day period is getting into the upper 90s for this time frame. Another thing to note here, and you can see that more on our graph there on the bottom portion of the slide, if you take kind of a regional look at what our temperature is going to be doing, you can see that the temperature lows are really settling into that mid to upper 70s, especially as we get into the weekend. Some locations as we get into Monday, it's possible we could see a little bit of a cooling trend ever so slightly, but there are some locations, especially across middle and south Georgia, where those minimum low temperatures are potentially going to be reaching some near record conditions, and we have to be careful here to express this the right way, but it would be highest low temperature records. So it would be the warmest of those low temperatures. And so particularly we're looking at areas like Macon, possibly Columbus. And so something to keep an eye on as we get into Monday and especially into Tuesday. And then also worth noting is just with the higher humidity as we get through the weekend, the heat index values could be near heat advisory criteria. Even if it stays below heat advisory criteria, we're still looking at triple-digit heat index values. And so that's something that's still worth preparing for, being cognizant of your time outside, any kind of recreational activities, sporting events, anything that's going to be happening during the day. Consider making modifications to those schedules. Now, another thing that I mentioned right at the beginning, and I'll reiterate it here, we are just not seeing the kind of rainfall accumulation that we would typically see in the summertime over a 7-day period. So this is the 7-day forecast as available by the Weather Prediction Center. And so some portions of the state have no color at all. That would be 0 rainfall for that time frame, while others are generally 1/4 inch or less. And this really is not going to be helping us, one, cool off, and two, help keep drought development at bay. And so anytime we're seeing, less than 1 inch of rain per week in the state of Georgia in the summertime really means that we're not receiving the kind of rainfall that we need. So there is the potential with any kind of thunderstorms, even these weak storms that could develop through the weekend into early next week over the southern portions of the state. It's possible you could see some higher rainfall totals, but on the whole, we're not just going to be seeing much at all. Now, this trend is expected to continue as we get through next week. So August 1st, next Thursday, through the following days into the beginning part of the month, we are seeing above normal temperatures being the norm across a good portion of the South, including the entire state of Georgia. And the below normal rainfall is still accompanying that as well. So definitely something that we're continuing to watch. I don't have to tell you that it's hot outside. You know that already. But just take extra precautions, especially as we start looking at things like this 8 to 14 day hazard outlook that's available. This would be August 3rd through the 9th, but specifically August 3rd through the 5th is what's outlined there in the Deep South. And so that includes a good portion of the state of Georgia. So we are going to be continuing to monitor these excessive heat conditions. Now, as I mentioned, anytime we're seeing these kind of temperatures and not a matching good amount of rainfall, that's when you start to see drought conditions develop. The map as of today from the drought monitor is completely color free. So that means that as of right now, there's nothing there. But don't be surprised with this trend that we're seeing in our weather, that by next week we could see some areas included in a yellow D0 abnormally dry condition. And it's possible that we could see these conditions continue to degrade over the coming weeks. Now, something like a tropical system could undo that, and we'll see what happens there. Now, as of right now, the Hurricane Center really is not watching anything that it would be concerning for the Southeast U.S. And so right now, the 7-day outlook does include this orange area that you're seeing here. This area of concern is going to be moving westward into the tropical Atlantic, and so there's a medium or a 40% chance of development during that time frame. Still a lot of opportunity for things to change, but something that's worth watching as we get into next week. Okay, so just in summary, we are again expecting above normal temperatures. Again, possibility of some drought development as a result of the low rainfall and the high heat. We are going to continue to monitor the need for a heat advisory and the potential for seeing some warm, low temperatures nearing records early next week, especially near Macon and possibly Columbus. The below normal rainfall trend is going to continue. Fortunately, that means a low possibility of severe storms. And some portions of the state, especially South and Central Georgia, could see some slightly higher rainfall chances by Saturday. That's it for us today. We hope you have a great week. If you have a need to contact us, please do so by one of these methods. Otherwise, we're happy to see you here next Thursday for our next weekly briefing. Have a great day.